Hi everyone, this is Sudarshana5 GlobalTruth. Now, I've been asked recently to show the legal document that states that they can spray us down with chemtrails, that it's actually legal, because I mentioned that in one of my videos that legally they can do this. It's all written out in the law, and this is true. Now, if you go to globalskywatch.com, they got it all spelled out here. Another thing is I have seen a video a while ago where the woman did show the legal document, like a military type document that showed how they can legally do experiments on us, chemical and biological warfare. But this document may be the same thing. I'm not sure if this is the same one, but this is the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 1998, Division of Department of Defense Authorizations, Public Law. So the U.S. law allows testing of chemicals and biological agents on civilian population. So here in this first one here is showing the first part of this section, the section 1078, the use of human subjects for testing of chemical or biological agents, restrictions on the use of human subjects for testing of chemical or biological agents, the prohibition, prohibited activities. Okay, so the Secretary of Defense may not conduct directly or by contract these things. Any test or experiment involving the use of a chemical agent or biological agent on a civilian population, or 2, any other testing of a chemical agent or biological agent on human subjects. But then they list these exceptions. Subject to subsection C, D, and E. The prohibition in subsection A does not apply to a test or experiment carried out for any of the following purposes. Number 1, any peaceful purpose that is related to a medical, therapeutic, pharmaceutical, agricultural, industrial, or research activity. Number 2, any purpose that is directly related to protection against toxic chemicals or biological weapons and agents. And number 3, any law enforcement purpose, including any purpose related to riot control. Now, what they comment on in the Global Skywatch, they say, so, Section A prohibits these cruel and inhumane chemical and biological tests on humans. Then, Section B says that the prohibitions in Section A do not apply to tests carried out for virtually any purpose. So, Section B completely negates the prohibitions of Section A. You see that? It was very tricky how they worded that. So, in other words, the U.S. government can test chemicals and biological agents on humans for nearly any purpose they desire. Now, in the next section here, it says E, biological agent defined. So the term biological agent is now being defined. In this section, the term biological agent means any microorganism, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, rickettsiac or protozoa, pathogen or infectious substance, and any naturally occurring bioengineered or synthesized component of any microorganism, pathogen, or infectious substance, whatever its origin or method of production that is capable of causing, number 1, death, disease, or other biological malfunction in a human, an animal, a plant, or other living organism. 2, deterioration of food, water, equipment, supplies, or materials of any kind. Or 3, deleterious alteration of the environment. So they comment here, the U.S. government can test chemicals and biological agents on humans that cause death, biological malfunction, and deleterious alteration of the environment. The term deleterious alteration of the environment brings chemtrails to mind. All right, then it says Well, some argue that none of this activity can be conducted without informed consent, as stated in Section C, which reads, informed consent required. The Secretary of Defense may conduct a test or experiment described in subsection B only if informed consent to the testing was obtained from each human subject in advance of the testing on that subject. Okay, but then they explain here, although Section C seems to provide some protection for us in that it requires us to be notified in advance if this testing is to take place, in reality, it does not provide any protection at all. Why not? Because you've already been informed in advance and you've already given your consent. Because this law is publicly available for everyone to read and you have been informed because you have not contested it. That's what the courts are for. You have provided your consent. This law is part of a contract between you and the government. When the terms of a contract are known and uncontested, it's called acquiescence. Acquiescence essentially means that both parties are in agreement. Acquiesce, submit, or comply silently without protest. So when this law was published, you were informed because you have not challenged it in court. You have consented by your own inaction. You have said, sure, go ahead and poison me, even if it causes death, I have no problem with it. Because this contract meets the judicial requirements of remedy and recourse, it is legally binding. Judges like to say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. They say this because you are expected to know all of the law, because it is publicly available for you to read, despite the fact that this is humanly impossible. So in reality, Section C is legally useless. It does not provide any additional protection. It only seems to. Section C's only purpose for being included in this law is deception and nothing more. They define deception. Section C of this law is very deceptive because most people don't understand the concepts of acquiescence in contract law. Therefore, people mistakenly conclude that this testing will never happen to them unless they are informed about it. The powers that be play upon public ignorance by inducing people into having a false sense of security. As a result, the public believes this activity could not be occurring because they believe that they would have personally heard about it. This false belief then provides insurance that this law will never be contested in court, and as long as this law remains uncontested, chemtrail spraying will continue unhindered. The final result is that this craftily written law has done its job. It has enabled chemtrail spraying to continue without being contested in court. Additionally, this law continually provides legal protection for those doing the spraying. After all, by your inaction, you have given them your permission. When you consider the incredibly dark nature of this deception, and when you consider the fact that this law gives your public servants the self-appointed power to kill you, you should then consider what kind of people are running your country, or the world for that matter. So there you have it. Now that is very intense. So these things that are written in the laws, if we don't take them to court to it, it's as if we've consented to it. So we have consented. The mass population of the United States and all the other countries that are being sprayed heavily by chemtrails, they've all consented to this law. Well, I guess this is U.S. law, so I can only speak for this country, but we have consented for them to spray us down with these chemtrails. Thus, it is happening every day of our lives until we take it upon ourselves to take them to court. And that's probably what needs to happen. So, okay, thanks for listening. This has been Sudarshana5. Now you are aware of the public law. We now know that they have the power to spray us down, that what they are doing is legally written. legally written. Yep, it is. So thanks for listening. It's been Sudarshana5.